So last weekend, I had a photo shoot for the You Can Emerge Positive podcast. I needed new pictures, photos for social media and for YouTube and, all the stuff. And I was genuinely excited about it. I mean, it's fun. If you've ever done a photo shoot before, it really is a lot of fun. But unfortunately, within minutes of Karen, who's the photographer, she showed up at my house. I got a huge wave of hot flashes. I mean, I don't think I've ever had them so bad before in my life. It was overwhelming. I was overheated. I was hot. I was sweaty. I mean, I just felt gross. And this was before even one picture was taken. It completely hijacked my whole mindset. Here I was trying to show up as this confident woman, and I was anything but confident. I just felt disgusting. I'm sure if you are like me here at this age, you've definitely gone through this. Maybe not for a photo shoot, but just in life. It is horrible. It's uncomfortable and it's stressful, honestly. So anyway, I'm in my full, heat wave and so we have to start the photo shoot because I've paid for a certain time frame. So we start taking the photos, and at one point Karen like shows me her laptop. She's like, "Look, it's great. You're like, you're doing it." And I looked at those photos and I was like, "Who is that?" Have you ever done that? Seen a picture of yourself and just not related to who they were or what they look like? It really was almost an out of body of experience. And I know many women have told me that they have the same thing, but because when I looked at that photo, I thought, that's not me. Like, I feel like I'm 37. I don't feel like I'm over 50 at all. And yet, the woman looking at me in that photo, she was definitely not 37 years old. And so that moment brought up something that I think many of us experience in life. That strange disconnect between the age that we feel and the age that we actually are, and the age that looks back at you from the mirror. So today I want to talk about aging. I want to talk about identity and what happens when the woman that you feel like inside no longer seems to match the woman in the mirror. Hi there. Welcome back to You Can Emerge Positive. I'm Deanne, and I work with women in midlife who are looking to design their next decade with confidence, and I show them the pathway there. As I mentioned last weekend, I had a photo shoot, and overall, it was a really fun day. Karen's amazing. In fact, I'll put it in the notes so you can contact her if you're interested in having a photo shoot. She specializes in working with women over 50, and she's amazing. And she created such a fun environment. We laughed, we tried on different outfits, we put music on, we moved all around my house and took photos literally everywhere. We experimented with different backgrounds and poses. It truly was a lot of fun. But I have to be honest with you, that hot flash in the beginning really threw me. I mean, it hijacked me. One minute I was excited and ready to go, and the next I was a mess, truly overheated, just disgusting. I felt like a pig, and here I was supposed to be looking confident and pretty for for a photo shoot, which seemed just crazy. It is amazing how quickly our minds can hijack the moment. If I don't look good, or if I feel like I don't look good, then I don't feel good. And I know you can relate with me. And why did this have to happen to me at the photo shoot of all places, right? Why did this have to happen now? And I'll have to tell you, like, there was a thought of maybe I'm never going to photograph well again. Like, maybe that time is just past me. And that thought was really difficult for me. The fact that I'm thinking I may not be able to do this anymore. Like it just may not. And I know that sounds dramatic. It may sound dramatic to you, but in the moment, it felt so real. It felt incredibly real about my identity with who I am, my age, and that reflection that I was seeing in her laptop of those photos that she had just taken of me. I think it's though something that a lot of us do experience. Maybe it's when you're looking at a photo when you're 10 and you realize, holy crap, or when you were 20, or when you first got married. There is this disconnect that I think that we go through. We just don't quite look the same. But suddenly, we're not simply observing the change in us, we're building an entire story around it. So instead of just having the moment of, wow, that's how I look, we start creating something much bigger, our own personal story, which normally I got to say is not good to us. It's a story about our beauty, about our value, about our relevance, our confidence, or even what we believe we say is still possible for us. So when Karen first showed me those photos, I didn't immediately see the woman who created Emerge Positive and who started this business. I didn't see the woman who had created this podcast. I didn't see someone who was brave enough to step out from behind the Emerge Positive logo because for years I did not do that. I let it be the logo and I stood and hid behind it. But since then, I have come out from there and I didn't see that. I didn't see the confidence. I didn't see all the things that I had done and accomplished. I just saw my age and I saw all the ways that I look different from the younger version that I feel inside. Because inside, as I said, I don't feel like I'm over 50. I feel like I'm 37. I feel curious and hopeful and ambitious, and I still get excited about so many things. I still dream about the future. I still get energized by a new idea, and I still believe there's so much in front of me. The woman inside really hasn't changed as much as the woman that's looking back at me in the mirror or in those photos. And maybe that's why getting older can feel so disorienting. Maybe the woman that we see in the mirror that keeps changing while the woman that we feel inside doesn't. And if you're not in your head right now, know that you're not alone. I've talked to so many women who say the same thing, that the reflection that they see does not match who they feel inside. Maybe the age you feel is 35, or maybe it's 42, or maybe it's just a time in your life that you really felt like you, that it was such a great time for you. Maybe it was when you were the most confident, where you felt the most alive. Meanwhile, birthdays continue arriving every year, and they quietly are moving us into that number that sometimes feels impossible to claim. My brother-in-law just turned an age, I won't say what, this month. And he said to me, it feels like this is the age that my uncle should be turning. So it's not just us women. Men, I know you're there too, but we do cross an age where we start feeling this disconnect. And you have these moments where you'll like see yourself and you'll go, wait, that's me. You'll see yourself in the mirror, right? When you're trying something on in a department store, or when you're just at home and you see it a different angle that you normally don't see. It's shocking, isn't it? And it can be super disappointing, I gotta say, because there is such a strange disconnect between the age we are and the age that we feel. Our spirit just doesn't seem to age near as quickly as our body does. And when those two don't line up, it really can leave you feeling confused or angry or just really discouraged. And I've got to say, if I'm going to be completely honest, lately I've been falling on that discouraged and disappointed part more than I would care to agree or admit to, but I have. I've been definitely falling there more often than I want. And I want to be honest because I know that I'm not the only woman that is going through this. I know that you're out there too, that you're catching your image and going, what the heck? Or I know that I'm really in there. Where is she? Right? Maybe a thinner version, a smoother version, or just a younger version. There's so much pressure on women in our culture to appear youthful. Like youth is the prize, right? And once you get beyond what is considered youthful, which culturally it really does depend, but once you cross that, it's different. There's so much pressure for you to go backwards instead of just be where you are. You are supposed to, erase the lines or cover something or tighten something or pretend that it's not happening. So I realized in this photo shoot, it really was a pivotal moment. I realized that I had been comparing my current age body, my 50 plus body, to my 37-year-old self. And that is not going to win anybody prizes. That's never going to work. You cannot compare a 50-plus-year-old person to a 37-year-old person. They're two very, very different things. My body is not supposed to look exactly the way it did almost 20 years ago. My face is not supposed to remain unchanged. I have lived my life during those years. I have loved, I have lost, I've succeeded and I've failed, and I've started over. I've started a business, I've written books, I've changed careers completely. And I've become more confident, more grounded, and much more comfortable with who I am inside. And those years simply didn't just happen to me, they shaped me. And when I look at it that way, I started asking myself a different question. What if I stopped trying to become my younger self and just focus on being the most vibrant and fulfilled 50 plus person that I know I can be? Why can't I just focus on that instead of focusing on trying to go back in time and match a former version of myself? Because I'm not there anymore, and either are you. So instead of looking backwards, let's be in the present and just make this version of ourself the best one. That whole kind of shift in my perception, it changed everything. It didn't change how I look, of course, but it changed how I looked at myself and how I thought of myself. You know, the truth is I don't really want to be 37 again. I don't want to go back there and be constantly on the climb in my work, or having a people-pleasing issues, or constantly striving to do something else. I don't want the belief that someone else's approval matters more than mine. I will gladly keep the wisdom that I've earned and that I've learned over the years. I would gladly keep the perspective that only time can teach. And I will gladly keep the confidence. So I simply want my body to reflect the energy that I feel. That's it. And for the first time, that idea really felt empowering instead of discouraging. So I hope that you'll join me in that, because I'm not powerless here and either are you. I may not be able to stop time, but I can decide how to care for myself as time moves forward. That photo shoot was a huge shift for me. I can't even believe that like something that was supposed to be it's like a business thing and very simple and fun ended up being profound. And I know that I'm still going to have days that I'm overly critical of myself and I'm going to be down on myself. I'll catch myself though and shift my mindset to be focused on who I am now and really working and being committed to making the best version of myself today. So I've decided to get stronger. I've made a commitment to myself, to my body, to get stronger, to protect my health, to build muscle, to move more, to give myself the rest that I need, and just to care for myself with the same intention and energy that I pour into Emerge Positive. Because here's what I realized. I'm not trying to erase my age. I'm trying to fully live it. Maybe that's what growing older is asking for all of us. Not to become younger, but to become more fully ourselves. Maybe the opportunity to chase who we used to be, maybe it isn't that. Maybe it's to become someone our younger self would really be proud of us for, right? Who you've become now, would your younger version of yourself, my 37-year-old self, be proud of where I am today? And I think she would. She worked hard and got me to where I am, and now I am here, and now I'm working hard. And I think really she would be proud of me, because I don't have everything figured out still. I mean, I probably never will. We're all part of a growth path, right? But I've always kept going because I was willing to change. I found the courage to leave behind the parts of me in my life that no longer fit. I created Emerge Positive. I'm using my voice. I know my 37-year-old self would be proud of that. And I'm no longer trying to hide behind the logo and the brand. I'm still growing and I'm still becoming. There's so much conversation in our culture about trying to look younger, but maybe we need more conversations about how to live well with where we are in our own age, how to feel strong in our own bodies, how to feel alive in our lives, how to honor everything we've experienced without deciding that our best days are behind us, because they aren't. Your best years are not necessarily the years that you're the thinnest with the smoothest skin. Your best years can be the years when you finally know who you are, when you stop apologizing for yourself, when you stop waiting for permission, when you stop abandoning your own needs, when you trust yourself enough to make a change, when you finally begin to be living as the woman you were always meant to become. This is what I want for myself, and this is what I want for you. So this is my commitment as we head into August, not to become younger, not to chase who I used to be, but to become the healthiest, strongest, and most vibrant version of who I am today. And if you've been feeling that same disconnect between the age that you feel versus what you're seeing, I hope you'll join me in this. Let's stop wishing that we're younger, and let's start honoring the woman that we've become, because we've earned that. We've earned the right to look at ourselves with tenderness instead of criticism, with gratitude instead of disappointment, with respect instead of comparison. Your life is not winding down simply because you're getting older. There's still so much more for you, so much to experience, so much to create, and so much to become. Your younger self is not the goal. The woman that you're becoming is. So let's start living like our best years are still unfolding, because I truly believe they are. And if you need someone to walk that journey with you, I'm right beside you. You can emerge positive. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you know someone that is feeling this way, this disconnect, and there are so many of us that are, send this episode to them. Let them know that they're not alone either. I hope you guys go out there, make it a great day. And again, thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week.